Here are two drawings of the same little circuit. On the left, a schematic. On the right, a circuit diagram. So are they the same thing? Or is there a real difference? This is the honest answer to circuit diagram versus schematic. No myths, no made-up rules. By the end of the next few minutes, you will know exactly when the two words mean the same thing, when they do not, and the one distinction that actually matters on the bench. Let us settle it. So let us not bury it. Here is the plain answer. In everyday use, a circuit diagram and a schematic diagram are the same drawing. Both are the symbolic picture of a circuit. Both use standard component symbols, a resistor, a battery, a switch, joined by lines that stand for the connections between them. And both are drawn to show one thing: how the circuit works. Not where the parts physically sit. Not how long the wires are. Just the logic of it. What connects to what. Put the schematic and the circuit diagram side by side, and you're looking at two names for the very same idea. If someone hands you one and calls it the other, they are not wrong. Now, the nuance, because there's a small one, and it is worth 30 seconds. The two words carry slightly different flavor. Schematic leans technical and electronic. It stresses the functional, symbolic representation. Engineers designing a circuit board reach for the word schematic. Circuit diagram is the broader, everyday term. It is what you will hear in a classroom, in a car manual, in a hobby kit. But, and this is the key, that is a difference in tone, not in the drawing. Both still show the same symbols, the same connections, the same logic. So do not invent a hard rule where there is not one. Schematic, circuit diagram. For the drawing in front of you, treat them as equal. Quick note before the useful part. Every diagram in this video is drawn in a free editor that runs right in your browser, CircuitDiagramMaker.app. No install, no sign up. The link is below, so open it in a second tab and draw along. Here is where a genuinely useful difference finally shows up, and it is not between schematic and circuit diagram. It is between both of those and a wiring diagram. A schematic shows how the circuit works, symbols and logic. A wiring diagram shows how it is physically built, the actual parts, the real terminals, the true wires, and where they land. Look at the same simple circuit both ways. As a schematic, a lamp is a neat symbol, a battery is two clean lines, and a switch is a break in the line, arranged for clarity, not for reality. As a wiring diagram, that same lamp is drawn as the actual lamp with its real terminals. The battery has a plus and minus post, and each wire runs from screw to screw exactly where it goes in the box. And here is a tell you can use. On a schematic, the position of a part on the page means nothing. You can slide the switch anywhere, and the circuit is identical, because only the connections carry meaning. On a wiring diagram, position is everything. Move a part, and you have changed where the wire has to run. That single fact is the cleanest way to know which drawing you are holding. Same circuit, two completely different jobs. One explains the idea. The other tells you how to physically wire it. Let us make that split concrete because it is the whole point of this video. A schematic, or circuit diagram, is about function. It is symbolic. Components become standard symbols. Position on the page means nothing, and it answers the question, how does this thing work? It is the drawing you reach for to understand or design a circuit. A wiring diagram is about layout. It is physical. Components look more like the real parts. Position and connection points matter. And it answers a different question. Where does every wire actually go? It is the drawing you reach for to build, install, or repair. Symbolic versus physical. Function versus layout. That is the real fault line, and it runs right between the schematic family on one side and the wiring diagram on the other. And notice what is not on this fault line. The word schematic and the word circuit diagram both sit on the same side of it, the symbolic function side. That is the whole reason they're interchangeable, and the wiring diagram is not. Keep that picture in your head, and you will never mix these up again. Two more cousins are worth naming, so the whole family makes sense. A pictorial diagram goes even further toward the physical than a wiring diagram. It draws components as little pictures of the real objects, a picture of a battery, a picture of a bulb, wired together the way a beginner can literally copy. Great for a first electronics kit, Not great for anything complex. A block diagram goes the other way, more abstract than a schematic. It hides the components entirely and shows whole sections as labeled boxes: power supply, amplifier, output, with arrows for the signal between them. It answers, where are the big pieces and how do they connect? Perfect for seeing the system at a glance. So the family runs from most abstract to most physical: block, then schematic and circuit diagram, then wiring diagram, then pictorial. So which one do you actually draw? It comes down to the question you're trying to answer. If you want to understand or design how a circuit works, reach for a schematic, a circuit diagram. It is the fastest way to see the logic. If you need to physically build, install, or troubleshoot it, reach for a wiring diagram. It shows you the real terminals and where each wire lands. If you're teaching an absolute beginner to copy a build, a pictorial diagram is friendliest. And if you're mapping out a big system before any details, start with a block diagram. Most real projects use more than one. You design on a schematic, then produce a wiring diagram to actually build from, and maybe sketch a block diagram first to plan the whole thing. They're not rivals. They are different views of one circuit, each answering a different question, and a good engineer moves between them without a second thought. And you do not have to imagine any of this. In the free editor, you can draw the schematic with proper symbols, then lay out the wiring diagram right beside it. Same circuit, both views. Open CircuitDiagramMaker.app, drop in a battery, a switch, and a lamp from the symbol library, and join them with clean or orthogonal wires. That is your schematic. Then rearrange the same parts to match the physical box, and you have started a wiring diagram. One tool, both drawings, free in your browser. The link is below. So, circuit diagram versus schematic diagram. Let's lock it in. For the drawing itself, schematic and circuit diagram mean the same thing: a symbolic picture of how a circuit works, built from standard symbols and connection lines. The word schematic just leans a little more technical and electronic. Do not let anyone sell you a hard distinction there, because there is not one. The real difference is with the wiring diagram: symbolic versus physical, function versus layout. Schematic tells you how it works. Wiring diagram tells you how to build it. And pictorial and block diagrams sit at the two far ends of the same family. Now open the free editor and draw one yourself. Schematic first, then the wiring diagram beside it. The link is below. Subscribe for a new diagram explained every week, and I will see you in the next one.